Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to our study of Proverbs, more specifically, the heart of man. We saw there could be good and bad hearts, but now we want to go deeper still. The next couple of Proverbs will go deep into the heart of man. And we start pretty far off, actually, in chapter 27. It says, as in water, face reflects face, so the heart of man reflects the man. And what's interesting is the word reflect is not there. And she says more, as in water, face to face, and heart to man to man. And there's two ways to understand what he's saying here. One that's focused on ourselves, and one's then focused on others. On ourselves is how the same way water will show us what we look like. When we search out our hearts, we'll find out who we really are. So you're doing that. But the other side, so the same way water is something that's outside of you, while this other person, right, the man, will help you know what's inside your heart. Either by the way they treat you, or by they help you, they'll show you who you really are. So you search it out, you're the water, or somebody else is the water and exposes it. Still with this same idea of exposing your heart, and two ways to do it, we have the next one. We go all the way back to chapter 20. The purpose in man's heart is like a deep water, but a man of understanding will dry it out. Again, two ways to understand that. Focus on yourself, focus on others. On yourself is this man of understanding, you, will draw out and reason what's the best way to go now. What's the best plan that you should lay out to make it through by this purpose. Or on the other side, the man of understanding is somebody outside, a counselor, that will help you draw your deep waters so you can reason and make the right choices. So somebody else helps you, you do it. Somebody else exposes your heart, you do it. Either way, we're really seeing the depths of our hearts. And that's important. Because in the same chapter, just a few verses more, the author says this. Who can say, I have made my heart pure. I am clean from my sin. We know this is a rhetorical question. The answer is no one. No one has a pure heart or is clean. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So you go in deep, you try to have the right decisions and choices, but you realize, wait, my heart is sinful. So how do I fix that? Glad you asked. Next proverb will help us. An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Recognizing that our hearts are sinful, we realize we need knowledge, instruction from somewhere else, right? And the best source being God, of course. This book of wisdom, of course. But the wise man, the one who's humble enough, man or woman, to understand that he doesn't understand everything, his reasoning is not always right, will know to turn to God for those truth. So now we've plumbed the depth of our own hearts, but have we realized that not everybody can see that? We've seen that some can help us, but there are depths not everybody can see. That's what the next couple of Proverbs will tell us. It says, the heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy. In other words, there's depths to yourself, joys or bitterness, that no one else can know. Yes, there are people who can help you, but there's senses where there's depths that only God knows. And that's kind of the idea when you continue and see just a few verses more. Even in laughter, the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief. Or you may seem joyous and a truly happy face, but only you know the depths of what's going on inside of you. It might seem like you're okay, but there are depths that only God knows. That's bitterness and heartache and grief. There's realities that everybody else can see. So that's kind of what he's saying here. That's what he's kind of getting at in chapter 14. When we backtrack to chapter 13, though, he's going to help us in another way. Help us to deal with the brokenness of our hearts, right? It's sinful. It can become bitter and grieved. So there has to be something to give us hope. And he says this: hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. So yeah, there's still more bitterness, especially when that hope is deferred, when it's not happening, when it's not coming to fruition. But when it does, though, when it's fulfilled, this is parallelism. Repeating the same idea twice. When it's fulfilled, there's a tree of life. Doesn't that make you think of the Garden of Eden? When we walked with God, when everything was right and there was no sin yet? That's kind of where the author's bringing us back, right? Bring us back to that enjoyment of God, where there was no need for hope. We had everything we needed, and God too. That's what happens. Of course, what will happen when Christ comes back. But I digress. He gives us a few verses more, and the author again comes back around and says, a desire fulfilled is sweet to the soul, but to turn away from evil is an abomination to fools. Now this is a contrast, right? But it's a contrast with this idea of fulfilled desires, which we just looked at, right? Hopes that's not deferred, how that's sweet. But then you compare it to this notion of the fool. Fool is one who doesn't believe in God, who doesn't obey God. So when you kind of compare it, what desire can there be here? Not about stuff. It's about the desire to please God and to walk with Him. And that's fulfilled. That's sweet. But on the contrast, for the fool, it's all about staying in evil, not turning away from it. Because turning away from evil, like this guy's doing, that's an abomination. That's grief and irritations and frustrations. I like this note that we're ending on. Because we've gone all the way around, right? We started with this heart of ours that we want to understand, our inner man, want to make sense, so we make right decisions. We understand that our hearts are evil, and that was why we need knowledge from above. We understand there's depths to our hearts that others can understand but ourselves. And the best thing that we need is this hope, this tree of life. And to fight against the evil of our hearts, that it's sinful, and its desires. Don't be like a fool. We really see in these Proverbs about the inner man, about the heart, this need for God, is to recognize that our hearts are not inclined that way, but we must have it inclined that way. That's where the gospel comes in, of course. So the good news comes and gives us a new heart in Christ Jesus. But we need that. We need that to have the right kind of hope and desires to be fulfilled. And to wrestle against these evils and enjoy them. I hope this has been an interesting plunge into the human hearts, because next time around, we'll look at a whole other subject. On this note, be blessed.